Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some Jund Midrange tonight. Probably going to be a shorter stream tonight. I'm pretty tired after kind of a rough day at work. As a friendly reminder, if you like lightning bolt based stuff in Modern, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we are the most informative lightning bolt based channel on Modern, including Burn, Jund, Grixis, Death Shadow, and formerly Arclight Phoenix. So, this is a traditional Jund deck list. List probably pulled from about a month and a half ago, so it's not completely up to date, but I think it's a pretty good starting point for a deck list in Modern. You have the 3-3 split on Push and Bolt, Inquisition, Thoughtseize. You have the 3-4 split on Ren and 6 Liliana, full 4 Bolt, Blood Braid Elf, 3 Assassins Trophy. This could easily be 2 Trophy and 1 Pulse, but we're going with 3 Trophy for this league because it is a little bit cheaper in terms of interaction and a little bit easier to fit on the curve. 2 Croxa, 2 Scavenging Ooze to supplement your 4 Tarmogoyfs, and then obviously your Blood Braid Elves to help kind of close out the game. 24 lands, 1 Baron Moor, 2 Nurturing Peat lands, and a Partridge and a Pear Tree in the form of Raging Ravine. So plenty of utility to buy back with your Run-In 6. And then you have 2 basic swamps, 1 forest, 1 mountain for any type of Blood Moon, Path to Exile, Field of Ruin shenanigans. So overall, just a very basic Jund traditional list. No Lurrus nonsense going on, no Lurrus in the main deck, no Lurrus in the sideboard. 2 copies of Nihil Spellbomb and 2 copies of Ashiok Dreamrender are your supplemental graveyard hate against any type of Dredge, Storm, any of that kind of nonsense running around, which we seem to run into every time we play Jund. 3 copies of Collective Brutality. This is a pretty good supplemental hand disruption spell against control decks, as well as pretty good against Burn and Prowess. Granted, those have kind of proceeded in the metagame. 2 copies of Plague Engineer and 1 copy of Anger of the Gods are your supplemental tribal deck hate. So, Devoted, Druid, Merfolk, even Slivers if you happen to run into it. Just additional cards here to kind of answer creature decks in the format. 1 Hunt Master of the Fells for kind of a grindy mid-range plan. 2 copies of Pillage for any type of big mana. And then 2 copies of Choke here because, blue decks are a thing. Probably the best thing to be doing in the format overall, honestly, for those of you that can stomach 3.5 hours a league. Beyond that, obviously Ashiok can come in against things like Amulet Titan. Can also help hit Tron sometimes, especially on the play. But that said, pretty basic Jund list here. Let's get it rolling in the league. See how far we can get before I'm kind of too tired to function here. So, one of the downsides of streaming after work is just some days you're just exhausted when you haven't slept well. So, here we go! Fortunately, and this isn't a knock on Jund or anything like that, Jund's a little bit easier to play from a mechanic standpoint than something like GDS. I really love GDS as a deck, but that is a deck that definitely requires you a lot more thinking than even Jund. While a lot of the same core, apply as you're, playing a mid-range, kind of aggressively slanted deck. GDS, you have to worry a lot more about managing your graveyard for Grimag Angler and such, how you want to manage your life total with Death Shadow, whereas Jund, you're really just trying to craft a kind of control the game, attrition game plan, get things down to 0, and hope to top deck. Although Jund certainly has some heavier hitting power than it used to with Croxa and such, so Jund is usually pretty good at closing out games. Unfortunately, 1 lander can't keep it. This is a 3-lander, Thoughtseize, Inquisition, Scavenging Ooze. So, against an unknown opponent, it is interesting to see what card we're definitely a keep. It's just a matter of what card are we putting back. I think it's either Blood Moon, Blooded Braid Elf, Baron Moor, or one of the Inquisition Thoughtseize. I think due to our kind of lack of information, I'm going to put back Blood Braid Elf, just because I want to keep a 3rd land drop and we can always cycle Baron Moor. Uh, so I could fetch a basic Swamp and Inquisition against an unknown opponent. But I think I'm going to lead on Overgrown Tomb. No. Maybe I'm supposed to grab... Yeah, let's grab Overgrown Tomb. Do have a Stomping Ground in case we need it. Being a little too liberal with my life total, I think, but, you know, depends on what we're up against, obviously. Always a freaking blue-red deck the first go-around. Every time we play Jund. Archmage's Charm, Force of Negation, Bone Crusher Giants. What does this hand actually care about? Off doesn't matter. Force of Negation's annoying, but whatever. I think it's just take Brazen Borrower, take Bone Crusher Giant, land Scoos before they can do anything. Fatal Push might be useful, depends on things going on. Do they 2-for-1 themselves to protect their hand? Probably not. Drew another Bone Crusher Giant, which is unfortunate. So I guess we take Archmage's Charm? Or am I willing to fight through 2 Bone Crusher Giants? I got Baron Moore here. Not looking good for the home team game 1 here. So force them to react if they want to. So we have Archmage's Charm here. Yep. Give the other fetch land in case we want to play Bone Crusher Giants. Or in case we need to push Bone Crusher Giant, I mean. Okay. Changes things to a 3-turn clock. Opt isn't particularly relevant here. Sure. Pope continues to draw cards. Certain visions, sure. Sure. With Tarmogoyf. So hopefully they don't have Spell Snare here. So if our opponent uses their Force of Negation here. Stupid mosquito. Sure. Yep. Blue decks are so annoying in Modern these days. Yep. I think we're just going to hold on to the fetch land here. No reason to give them complete information as to what we're working with. Serve Visions, yep. Opponent. Card adopt. Opt. Card on top, so they found the bolt. We are out of threats. They have a Spell Pierce and a Remand in hand. And they get to put something back on top. How bad is your deck, though, that you've drawn 11 more cards than the Jund deck, and you're only slightly ahead? Fully expect this to get remanded, but, you know. Yep. Not going to cast it again because they can easily Spell Pierce it, and we can't play it for Spell Pierce, so. Sure. Yep. So they have Spell Pierce and one unknown in their hand. Draw an Archmage's Charm. Of course they did. Once again, how bad is your deck that you've seen 15 more cards than the Jund deck and still can't, like, legitimately win the game? Card on top, so they found another counterspell. Cool. And we can't play around Spell Pierce. Sweet. exact lethal, huh? And they get the plus on that and kill us. And we know they have a spell pierce in hand, so that's why we're not trying to cast the Kulagon's command again. Alright, chokes can come in. Spell bombs can come in. Might want one Plague Engineer against Snapcaster Mage. Not a huge fan of bolts in this matchup. Well, actually, given the fact that they have Brazen Borrower and Bone Crusher Giant in their 75. Croxa feels bad in the face of all their bouncing. Try it like that. Not bad for a mulligan to 6 and our opponent outdrawing us by 20 cards. Yeah, I think it's getting to the point with these blue decks where just something needs to go from their deck, whether it be Mystic Sanctuary or something. Just feels like they have way too many tools. Can't keep the one lander. Sure, I guess. Put back trophy, I guess. If they have forced negation, this hand gets significantly worse. You know, for those of people that wanted something like Splinter Twin unbanned, just know the blue decks are already absurd enough without Splinter Twin. Like, since last time Splinter Twin was unbanned, or not banned, you're looking at Force of Negation, Ancestral Visions, Jace the Mind Sculptor, the various Teferis, Archmage's Charm. There's just way too many tools in these decks to allow them to kind of go. They have the Force, they have the Force. Looks like they do. Probably running face first into a counterspell here, but much as I would love to get a Liliana down here, I think the bigger priority is setting up for Bloodbraid Elf next turn. Try to pressure this stupid Royal Scions. Maybe even hit an Assassin's Trophy. I think next turn we're getting a Swamp. Play around Blood Moon as much as possible. So that feels like the kind of garbage our opponent would be playing. Magmatic Sinkhole, sure. Sure. See, I've enjoyed my fair share of blue-red control decks over the years, but the deck is just so bad against Jund and such in terms of its answers and card quality, etc. Like, they literally have to 2-for-1 themselves almost every time they answer a Jund threat. Is Liliana the bait here? I feel like it is. Yep. Feels weird that Liliana's the bait, but I think in this case, Tarmogoyf threatening their Royal Scions is a necessary evil. Hopefully they don't have Brazen Borrower nonsense. Sure. Fortunately, we draw that, but, you know, at least we get to take Royal Scions off the table here. Yes, they play Vapor Snag. Play that out. Yeah, one of the positive slash is it Sorceries in Graveyard and Exile? Sure. Like the legitimate terrible quality of cards our opponent has to play hoops with just to even kill our threats is kind of insane. They have one card in hand. What are the odds that we care what it is? Probably not much, so I'm going to cycle this here, try to hit a Tarmogoyf or something. Not much, War Dog. Just waxing poetic about how much I hate all the crap blue control has gotten over the last several years. And by waxing poetic, I mean bitching and whining. What's your last card? Probably a counterspell of some kind. Bolt. Sure. Have your land hate, I have my land hate. Let's play a fun game of Magic. Well, it's not just ban, it's just like... So I was talking about like, yeah, this is just so stupid. And we're gonna get clocked by this Brazen Borrower. But like I said, it's not even just Bant. It's been like... any blue deck. Like, legit, our opponent outdrew us by 20 cards last game to win the game. Alright, 3 lands and a full Fatal Push. It's whatever. Just gotta find a way to revolt or bolt this stupid... We're gonna die to inability to revolt this Fatal Push. But yeah, like, between Archmage's Charm and Mystic Sanctuary, it's just like blue, even the terrible blue decks have good tools. 2 Lilianas and 2 Bloodbird Elves. Sure. Not that I could cast the Liliana anyway, so I guess I should be thankful. Maybe I got hasty with a 9-hole spell bomb. Would have been nice to still have that right now. Very frustrating to drop matches to these blue decks. Even the terrible versions of them. Sand's fine. Got Liliana, Thoughtseize into Croxa into Liliana. Usually pretty good in a lot of spots, although if our opponent gets on the board, nope, just another blue deck. Okay. I honestly think that every time we sign up with a Jun League lately, it's just been really weird matchups all the way around. Just another manic. Okay, so we're up against Mill. So we are never cracking a fetch land. Taking Echoing Truth. So you two are dead cards. Cool. It's just another manic Monday. Yep. Opponent draws card. Opponent's got crabs. Yay. Millis for 3. Sure. Oh, Milloom sells for 3. Nope. Only us. Okay. Bloodbraid Elf, Thoughtseize, Bloodbraid Elf. Okay, so we can just curve out here without ever cracking a fetch land. Throw away Mesmeric Lure and leave all those archive traps in our hand. Cool. Cool, cool. It's okay, so they get to mill us for 6. Glimpse. Yep. Start pecking away at those archive traps. They have to realize these are dead at this point, right? Suppose if they rip land, they'll be able to get one of them out of their hand. Alright, there's land number 1. Question is, do I bolt their face here? Probably. Awkward. Alright. Knew there was a reason I did things the way I did. They're dead next turn. 6-9. No, not quite dead next turn. Fire this up. $13, deal you 9, 10, sorry. Don't think there's now in their deck. I guess Crypt Incursion might buy them the time. Alright. So, mill. In some ways, I feel bad that these chokes can be good against our mill opponent. In other ways, not so much. What cards are not good in this matchup? I feel like we might get away with removing one trophy, and I don't think their deck run Jace's Phantasm anymore, so I'm tempted to board out a Fatal Push. We are definitely the aggressor in this matchup. Are we? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, his hand is perfectly reasonable. Not fantastic. Like, if we have to crack a fetch land and they have Archive Trap, it's annoying, but, you know. At least we get to Inquisition before we have to crack anything. Shellduck Isle? Sure. Requires 20 or fewer in the library. Alright, so Inquisition. Show me your secrets. Mission Briefing, Fatal Push, Glimpse the Unthinkable. Fatal Push is whatever. Like, they get to kill a Croxa or a Bloodbird Elf at some point. Glimpse is annoying. But I think Mission Briefing's the taking here. Make sure to crack this fetch land next turn. Yep. Assassin's Trophy covers us against pretty much everything. Hopefully they didn't drive an Archive Trap. So let's grab an overgrown tomb, I think. That or a blood crypt. Really kind of hard to say here. I already have a black source. I think we get another red source here. Stomping ground. Gotta be mindful always when you're playing with Kroxa, like how to sequencing your lands. Want to leave the basics in the deck because of Field of Ruin. What did I put in play here? Discard Fatal Push. Okay, there's Field of Ruin, sure. We discard Fatal Push this to this. We draw a Drownal Lock. Okay. That one's annoying. Could have been much worse, I suppose. Come on, land. Suppose Scavenging Ooze is fine. Not the fastest clock in the world, but it's clock. That's annoying. Sure. You legit brought in your Optiker's Cage against me. Okay. Really need to find another land. Hope they don't have Archive Trap, though I do think if they had Archive Trap, they would have just triggered the Field of Ruin already. This is. That is annoying. Really, deck? Shelduck Isle was looming. I was kind of hoping to use the Assassin's Trophy on that, but maybe I should have just... No, I don't think we could afford to waste a turn on attacking Ashiok. And we are about to get hit with an Archive Trap. Just a... sneaking suspicion here. Yep. Really need a land deck. We have a 2-turn clock. I don't know that we're going to get another turn, though. Tradional lock nonsense. Yep. And then they get the trigger one. Whatever's under Shelduck Isle this turn, probably for the win. And it is a glimpse the unthinkable. Sure. What would I even bring in for this? Could conceivably bring in Pillages, but I don't know that attacking their mana is all that great outside of Choke. I'm not even in love with Choke in this matchup. I think we would have ripped a 4th land. That game would have been pretty easily ours, but it's the risk you take sometimes. I don't think this hand's good enough. No real action until turn 3 unless they play like a creature. Just doesn't feel good enough. This hand doesn't feel great either. And if they have Archive Trap, they have Archive Trap. Can't play around it. Crab, Cage, Ashiok. don't care about cage. Crabs are annoying, like really, really annoying. I think I take Ashiok here. Like with all the crabs they have, it's just going to be really hard to fight through the infestation to get to Ashiok. The problem with the crabs, like taking a crab though, is they still have 2 more, so we're already pretty not good shape here. Croxa is like one of the worst draws in our deck. Just specifically because we know they have cage. Could have thought Thoughtseize there, but it wasn't the most mana efficient play. So they've got Shellduck Isle and 2 lands, including Epny Revulet. Seems great. Probably going to put Shellduck Isle to bed here, so to speak. Interesting. I think I screwed up here. I should have gotten... I don't know. Is it correct to get a black source there for Liliana? I don't know if I agreed with doing that during our combat step, but whatever. I think I would have waited to see if I would have activated Scoos. I seriously have another Echoing Truth. Cool. couldn't have done us a favor and have milled. Do you have a third? Wow. How does that work? Whatever. That's so stupid. The weird cards that you see out of mill sometimes. Merrick Orb. Yay. Really, deck? I hate Moto sometimes. Land here is less than ideal. So that now activates this Shellduck Isle. Mine funeral? Yep. So what was our realistic option there that mattered besides not skipping an entire turn? Taking one of the crabs with the First Inquisition as opposed to an Ashiok? Hard to say how that would have turned out. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. I think we keep this... Do we keep this hand, though? On the draw with no green source. We have Inquisition and Push. If we hit a green source, it's most likely a fetch lane, which will turn Run and 6 into a thing. We do have a cycle with Barrenmore. I think this hand's worthy of keeping. You ever have a night where it's just like not the night for a particular deck and night? So Amulet Titan. So I think we just take Explore here. It really sucks to have to play this way because we can't get any aggression going. And they very well might. Are you kidding me? Of course they hit on regular untapped land. So they get almost the entire benefit of Azusa here. Before we get to respond with a Fatal Push. Need to rip a Thoughtseize next turn, I think. We have 2 draw steps to do it. Assassin's Trophy. So we can set them back a land drop, but I don't know that that really accomplishes much here. I mean, at least the Titan isn't hasty, but then they get to set up whatever they want to set up pretty much. We have Pillages and Ashiok's pretty much for this matchup. Interesting. We're in a world of trouble anyway, so cast run in 6. Do the thing. During our draw step, trophy the Field of the Dead. Don't think it's going to particularly matter, but in case for some reason they don't have another Titan, which I thought they would have set up. But they likely have another way to get it in their hand. Yep, looks like another Titan. Maybe Dryad. Guess they get to... Can they pact here? Seems like a very curious mix of stuff. I think we Bloodbraid Elf... No... Problem with Bloodbraid Elf here is, like, we don't know what we're gonna hit. Did that in case we hit a Liliana. That way we get double activations out of it. Alright, I mean, Bolt's a thing, I guess. Is there even any one draw that we could hit that we would want to cycle right now? Because we can't hit both land and Thoughtseize here. So I think I'm just going to pass. Hopefully they have like nothing left in their hand. But the way they've been fetching kind of tells me otherwise. Bounce land? Looks like they have a bounce land here. One, two, three, four, five, six. Oh, they already had a Teleri West in their hand. Cool. Yep. Good thing we didn't show them scavenging ooze yet. Last card in hand is a land. Alright. So, do this correctly. Chambonero. It's got a castle and one unknown. If they draw a Titan, we're pretty much dead. Because they can haste it, I think. The way they type. Feels like Dryad. Nope, just Summoner's Pact. Cool. They shouldn't have played that Castle Garenbrig. Oh, okay, I guess that enables them to haste the Titan. Fun games. Bring in these 6. Crocs that can probably go in the face of main deck Bajuka Bog, which they'll probably leave in. Maybe we're not supposed to bring in Choke. Because at some point we have to kill Dryad, so maybe Choke isn't what we're supposed to be on. Bolt's not great in the matchup. I mean, it can kill a Zeusub, that's about it. I guess Scout can also technically kill, if they're even on Scout. Alright, we have a game plan. Hope we rip a 3rd land. Thoughtseize Inquisition into Ashiok. Summoner's Pact and a bunch of lands. Including Bajuka Bog. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So that's their hand currently. Okay. Alright. So force them to fetch. Apparently they weren't expecting Ashiok out of the gen deck. Good to know. The only cards I would remotely consider are Plague Engineer, but it doesn't actually kill anything. It does make their zombies potentially smaller. Does make Azusa an 01. Does make Dryad an 03. Like, it can combine with other cards to be good, including the second Plague Engineer. But I just don't think it quite cuts the cut here, so... Choke, once again, requires them to have Dryad. Yes. Sorry about that, everybody. Alright, this hand's a mulligan. This hand's also a mulligan. This hand's terrible, but I think we keep. Bloodburied Elf can go back, and Trophy can go back, because I don't think we're beating. I don't think we're winning this game if they resolve Titan, so Trophy isn't going to matter here. The Suva. Okay. Uru. Explore. Amulet. It's a heck of a hand. Guess we take Explorer, because we can kill Dryad through some shenanigans, but just don't really want them drawing cards and accelerating. That's a pretty good rip. Pretty good rip in terms of like setting them back. I don't know that it's going to be enough to win us the game. Like their land situations really. Have I mentioned that our opponents have been drawing reasonably well tonight? Probably copying one of our... Yep. Really? Cool. So their hand is currently Dryad, Uro, Titan, and one unknown. Really need them not to have land drops. Okay. Do you have a land to go with that is the question mark. You do not. What do you need me to... Donation decks are $15. That's... The only person who has the exception is Foz. And I will play whatever variant of Modern or Pioneer deck you wish me to play. So we have no way to kill this stupid tracker. Still know 2 of the 3 cards in their hand. I guess we just try to get them dead. That makes life a lot easier. Holy crap, we actually beat an Amulet Titan. Nice. Liana would have been nice too. Play one more match in this league tonight, then I need to be getting to bed for work, unfortunately, in the morning. But yeah, donation deck lists are $15. $10 for the entry fee, and $5 additional for my time. 2 hours of my time, pretty much. It's kind of how I have arrived at that particular amount. Especially being there's only 5 streams a week. And I play all 5 matches. We're on the play. $23 out of 53. Be 22 if we fetch. So 40% chance to hit a land drop on turn 2. I think this is a mulligan. This hand isn't like fantastic, but it's alright, I guess. No 1-mana plays kind of sucks, but you know, that's cancel. What am I putting back here? Swamp, I guess. What's up, Foz? Kind of ninjaing out of nowhere like usual. You ever have one of those nights you're just like, yep. It's just one of those nights. Blue deck, mill, amulet, Gruul. Yay. Blow up your land. Oh, Seasoned Pyromancer. I suppose I should be thankful they didn't Blood Moon us. So how's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully things are going well for everybody. Until 7 p.m. I learned it's not Friday. All kind of runs together after a while. Lightning Bolt and Bone Crusher Giant. That's a statement that says I have no lands. Alright, there's a Liliana. I think we play a Goyf here. Just going to kill one of these tokens. Possible one is supposed to plus and not leave Renin 6 dead to a bolt, but I think they're dead if she's dead if they really want it dead. I've just come to the conclusion this Gruul matchup is not good for Jund. Especially now that they've gone away from the Obosh plan. Yeah, Klothys is annoying. Like, supremely annoying. And they have a bolt for run. So we are in a ton of trouble this game because of Klothys. They can potentially have a Glory Banger this turn. Okay. Still could have it if they have a land. Turn that into a 3/4. Bloodbraid Elf, sure. Arbor Elf, not particularly relevant. Does give them mana, which isn't great for us either. Bloodbraid gets to kill Liliana. And they have lands. Inquisition. I think you just block here, right? Bloodbraid Elf. Guess we'll hold on to the bolt here. Probably just using it to kill the problem is they have these seasoned pyromancers hanging out in the graveyard. 6 mana, that's good, right? Oh, yay, Glorybringer. Just a 3. Problem is, we really don't have a lot for this matchup. Maybe Anger of the Gods. Plague Engineers, maybe? Could arguably bring in Spell Bombs against Klothys. But I think that's kind of a losing proposition. I actually think they've gotten grindier since they got rid of Obosh from the deck. Look at these Croxes out of the deck. Is it crazy to think that their deck's actually gotten grindier since they got rid of Obosh? Because they got Bloodbraid Elf back, and they got, they're not really playing any of that Luca nonsense. One lander can't keep. I guess we put back Raging Ravine here. Thoughtseize into Run-In 6 into stuff. Raging Ravine just inhibits that plan too much. Utopia Sprawl, Obstinate Baloth, Bone Crusher Giant. Well, so much for hoping that they had, like, Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl. So I could either try to take the mana or take one of the two threats and hope we can find a way to deal with Baloth. I'm going to take the Bone Crusher plan. Could be wrong. But between Anger and Run-In 6, we can deal with Baloth, though not easily. Not worried because Croxa isn't in our deck, so I'm just going to grab a basic forest here. Way we at least have some play back against Blood Moon. Did you draw a 3-mana play? Still don't know yet. Yep. Okay. Guess the only nice thing currently is their graveyard really doesn't have a whole lot of targets for Klothys. Just because how these hands have shaped up. I know they have a Baloth, so the discard mode on Kologun's command is currently out. dumb. Should have held off on activating Renin 6 this turn till after I saw what I hit off of Blood Braille, essentially once I got back the Overgrown team. Or I got the Overgrown team. It's just a 6 here. That's never a good sign. Sure. So just let that happen. Interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Forest in the graveyard. So if we fetch Liliana, we go to 3. The only card we can draw that remotely keeps us alive against Klothys is Scavenging Ooze. No. If that's shocking, we're just dead. Okay. But between the Elemental and Clothis, we were pretty dead anyway, so. I think the takeaway, even though we're not playing the last match, is simply the fact that there's a lot of bigger fish out there than Jund right now. You know, we saw... Well, let's see. We saw Blue-Red Control, Mill, Amulet, and now Gruul back to being full-powered Gruul as opposed to the Obosh. And I really think Obosh made the deck worse. Because they lost access to things like Bloodbraid Elf and Obstinate Baloth, which are really bad cards for Jund. Last night's league, we saw Tron. What did we see last night? Tron, Burn. Tron, Burn. Mardu Shadow. Gruul. So I really think there might be a lot of decks in the format right now that just out-Jund right now. The blue decks, I feel like Jund's a bit of a dog, or a significant dog, depending on the build. Gruul, the newer builds, or the old new builds, are pretty rough for Jund. Like, the only way to counteract Clothis is really an active Scavenging Ooze. It's been one of the few ways we've been able to neutralize Clothis in this in that particular matchup. Amulet, we got a little bit lucky to beat them. At least we had the tools. Mill, that matchup feels like a crapshoot, and that's not a matchup I'm going to worry about generally anyway. If I wouldn't have skipped that one turn, we might have had a shot, or if we would have drawn a fourth land for those Bloodbraid Elves in Game 2. Feels just like a whole lot of... Maybe we should be trying to be on the Lurrus plane and be a little bit more beatdowny. I don't know. Like, it feels like if you're a mid-range deck, you want to be on the more aggressive slant as opposed to trying to slug it out with all these value and ramp decks. And I don't know that traditional Jund is particularly good at putting on a fast clock, so I don't know. Really need more data on the meta right now, but this was not an encouraging thing for traditional Jund. I think we might have to go back and take a look at Lurrus Jund, even with the nerf, because that version was a little bit more aggressive. But maybe there are ways to combat all these grindy decks. Maybe it was just a small sample size, and we've seen more grindy decks than we should have. Really kind of hard to say. But anywho, gotta get to bed tonight. Wanted to get some Junding in. Really wasn't trying to sound like a Debbie Downer tonight, but between my mother having technology issues all night and exhausted from work and it being a rough week overall, but Jund's still fun to play. It just doesn't feel like traditional Jund might be in the best place in the meta right now. But you know, that's a fun thing about Jund, is Jund can always just one little tweak in the meta and Jund's perfectly back fighting at the top of the ranks. So, or with the advantage of having a secondary build of Jund that you can go to with Lurrus Jund, either Lurrus in the main like we had last week, or Lurrus, you know, even with the nerf. So there are some advantages to Jund just having those two divergent passes. Sometimes if traditional Jund isn't good, you can go a little bit lower to the ground, be a little bit more aggressive, and maybe steal some more games that traditional Jund would struggle with. So once again, a little bit of variance hit us in some spots with not drawing a 4th land for Bloodbraid. So anyways, this has been John from MTG Nexus. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We will be back tomorrow night with some Grixis Death Shadow. I don't think there's any donations that I've been made aware of. I know Space Predator asked about what it would take for E-Tron to get played. And I know Space Marines ask about a donation deck list, but it certainly won't be tomorrow night. I think it'll be more likely Tuesday or Wednesday of next week if we have a donation deck list. But anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out. This has been John for MTG Nexus. Everybody have a good night.